Hello, learners. Today we will be covering International Human Resource Management course code MMBA 009, Block 1, International Human Resource Management, which will include Unit 3, Cross-Cultural Diversity, and Unit 4, where we will cover Strategic International Human Resource Management. Let's see when we talk about the in, the cultural diversity when we are talking about human resource management in different areas, different locations, different countries on an international context. There is wide array of human resource management and other management techniques and styles in some nations which are present in diverse complex world in which multinational corporations are operating and they are surviving. Most of the MNCs are home to the most economically advanced nations but operate in many different countries. Emerging economic benefits from foreign direct investments, from multinational organizations, from financially progressive governments. So there are certain practices which are constantly flowing from all these multinationals to different countries. So there are major economies and HR practices as bifurcated in developed countries and developing countries. Developed countries are tried, which consist of USA, Europe, and Japan. It also has many subsidiaries and companies in developing and underdeveloped countries. This triad is the birthplace of many multinational corporations. They have greater power to decide whether to share their country strategies, policies, practices with host country firms. Whereas the developing countries include our own India, Turkey, the Middle East, and China. The comparison between developed and developing economies allows for examining if they can successfully transfer to the host nations. Developed and developing economies, they focus on the cultural characteristics and their impact on human resource management practices. The contextual factors are considered as they play a significant role in determining HRM practices overall. The long-lasting and deductible impacts are found in long and short-term. Political and financial circumstances are sometimes unstable and change very quickly. Their implications can be observed in the long-term human resource management. When we talk about the different countries, the Japan is known to be as the most, it's highly homogeneous culture with shared values, and they have, individual, despite of regional or individual differences. The Japanese society is organized around groups and communities. They focused more on collectivism. Japanese have very strong conviction where the people are, about the collectivist approach, where the people are loyal to their group affiliations, which includes their family, their work, and their community. In 1980, individualism score, or according to Hastert study, Japan was 46, US was 91, and UK was 89. So we can see the Japanese culture is more of a collectivist approach rather than an individualistic approach. So when we talk about the in-group definitions, the UK has nuclear families with spouse, children, or maybe parent. India, we see extended families with uncles, aunts, cousins who are living in the same place. Whereas the Japan, when we specifically include, it includes both extended families and the organization and the company. HRM in Japan, the cultural characteristics. Japanese people are known for their diligence and strong sense of duty or obligation. They have a strong commitment to the collective well-being. The social stratification follows vertical stratification based on institutions or organizational affiliation. Unlike Western society, there is no horizontal social system, class system. The labor union in the corporate culture is company based, it's not based on the profession. Whereas in UK, we see the unions are formed across companies, whereas the Japanese labor relations emphasize more on cooperation and harmony rather than on the conflict. The cultural outlook is more towards the extended families, as seen in the organizational level also. The high employee loyalty and emotional attachment to the company is very high. Younger workers are increasing switching jobs now. It is one of the changing trends, and the shift away from lifelong employment and towards flexibility is seen among the younger generation. The organization structure is strict hierarchy exists in Japanese companies. No equivalent ranks between workers and management. Open plan offices both include high level managers and low level managers. This contrasts the Western view of the management hierarchy. The status shown in the Japanese culture in the organizational context is with some non-verbal actions like number of bows during the greeting, sitting arrangements at the table, or the order of the food being served. When we see the bows during the greetings, the more they go down, it shows more respect towards the higher hierarchy or on the the seniority. Sitting arrangements is on the tables, either of the meetings or on the eating dining tables. So there also it is shown that the person from the highest hierarchy or the eldest person in the family is in the main chair. They are in center, and rest of them follows in an organization context. The rest of them follows the sitting arrangement as per their status and hierarchy. The food being served is again on the same level. The senior most or the highest in the hierarchy is being served first, then accordingly as per the hierarchy level. Decision making is all about the ringing system. It involves the informal consultation and problem solving within the organization. The processes includes preparation of written proposal. They focus more on the written documents, sharing with those affected, and circulating it to senior management. Time consuming, which is used for major decision only. Japan is known for their planning. It is known for when they took um, 80% or maximum time during for the planning, so that the rest of the execution can take in a very smoother manner. Where the employee involvement methods includes a suggestion box, where the employees are encouraged to submit their new ideas and improvements. If any changes are happening within an industry, so within an organization, the employees are asked to submit their views, their suggestions, their recommendations on that. Then the very important is quality circles. Quality circle is a voluntarily small group in the same work area. It is led by the managers, and the members are primarily worked on the problem solving, and reflects directly the Japanese collectivist culture, where the people sit together to solve any of the problem, and they are the experts in that particular functional area. Let's see the key management practices. First is NENCO, which is known as lifetime employment. It is not legally required but common in large companies. The employee stays for with one company throughout their lives, throughout their careers, rotated through various roles and promoted over time bound. So promotions are normally seen as a time bound promotions. Second is seniority, which is based on wage-based system. Salaries start how and increase with age and experience. Promotions are also based on wage and tenure. Performance incentives is another management practice which is related with the wages and the salaries, but not strictly performance. Wages are not strictly performance based. Bonuses and rewards help reduce complacency. Financial incentives and form up to the one third of the earnings. When we say human resource management is all about the teamwork and conscious in Japanese culture. They are very well bounded. They are, they believe in team working and collaborative working. Employees see themselves as a part of the community. They are placed in harmony, the cooperation, the collaboration, and mutual agreements. Managers seek input and approval from subordinates before moving further with any of the decision-making processes. Workplace cohesion is it has a very strong sense of obligation to colleagues and supervisors in as far as HRM is concerned. This mutual dependence is strengthen the entire team cohesion. Job rotation and flexibility. OGTs, job rotations, job roles are very flexible. Hiring is based on overall qualifications. So, on-the-job trainings are happening within the organization. Job rotation is done to get them expert and get them, experience of every job role. Early roles often involve manual tasks. Gradually, it transit or transform into the managerial responsibilities along with the authorities. So, long-term goals are aligned with the organizational needs, as it's seen that the Japanese are very, in, attached with their organization. They're attached with their and they'll give their life to one organization most of the time. It is seen. Training and skill building. Employees are trained in to handle diverse tasks. Training is strategic in Japanese culture and aimed in developing multi-skilled professionals. And this overall results in employees being capable of completing various organizational functions. So this was all about Japan. Let's see the United States. United States have a different culture altogether if we compare with the Japan. It is a melting pot with people from diverse ethnic backgrounds. Individualism is the most prominent cultural trait, whereas we have seen in Japan it was on a collectivism. Americans value independence and ambition, freedom to shape one's destiny, personal and financial success over group interest. In group dynamics is when in groups are limited to close family, which is next to kin. Workspaces and organization are not considered in growth. Loyalty lies with the individual, not with the organization. So the employees are more concerned about their individual growth rather than in organization growth. So HRM in United States, it impacts on work culture overall, where we see the individualism influences management style, where the personal responsibility and initiatives are seen on a very high note. Long hours and hard works when as and when required. Motivation through personal goal and self-image. So here the US employees are more inclined towards the personal growth and the personal motivation. They are very concerned about their personal own self-image. Promotions are and rewards and the recognitions are based on the merit and performance. Here, the merit-based system is seen, whereas we have seen in Japan it was of a seniority-based system. So, whosoever perform, they'll get the promotion, they'll get the reward or the recognition. The performances is the key earning rewards in US in the work culture. It encourage the personal achievement. It encourage the competitiveness among the employees. The job structure and flexibility is very high, where the people are free to change jobs. Companies can hire or fire based on the needs of their, or maybe if there is any market changes or any changes which is happening within an organization. Jobs are clearly defined, focusing on specific skill development. The participate it also have the work culture also have participatory management style where the managers are approachable and they are friendly. They discuss the they discuss the processes, they discuss the problems or the decision making processes with the subordinates. Overall, they are open to the uncertainty and changes happening within an industry, which not only encourage the risk taking, it also fosters the entrepreneurship within the employees and also involve them to promote the decision making and innovative practices. So overall, HRM in United States is all about anti-trade unionism. In American culture, it is seen majority of US workers are in your non-union sector. Employee power is very high in both political and economic context. Employees are hired or lay off employees freely with or without cause. That is exclusively organizational decision. The HRM approach, when it is about the practices, are over the trade union involvement. So rules and regulation exist, but are often viewed and with dislike. There are trade union rules, but they are not very liked by the management. So legal structure enforce clearly defined employee roles, business contracts outlining obligations, and protection against employers' misuse of power under constitutional law. So, professionalism and management styles were, defined by and explained by Weber's in their bureaucratic model in 1947, whereas a strong emphasis was on professionalism, especially on the business education. MBO is one of the best technique where it is widely used in US by improving performance, enhance companies' visibility, and increase employee engagement. Management objectives is a technique which is it is like whenever any process or any decisions or anything is happening or setting the objectives with the subordinates, they sit together and set as per their individual growth, which aligned with the organizational goals as well. Whereas the downside of MBU can lead to excessive bureaucracy and overproduction. Work ethics and trainings are the American workers are very high working hours. They work late as and when required. High level of productivity is seen among the US workers. Significant investment in employee training. They are very focused on training and development, and which later help them to get the better opportunities. So, United States multinational-based multinationals follow ethnocentric HR policies and practices. They are the slight adaptations which may allow for host country requirement. Means the main hold or they have the main stakehold on the decision making part. The local managers have very little autonomy in implementing strategies. Uh, let's see what is the human resource management in United Kingdom. United Kingdom includes Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. They have different cultural traits. They also share common values and institutions. Individualism with a sense of community. English culture emphasizing individualism, freedom, liberty, but there is also a collective influence, particularly seen in we can see in 18th or 19th centuries. There were certain trade union movements which are already reported. Group actions for the worker rights and collective bargaining is seen. The union members is craft based and can impact the entire organization. There are multiple unions may exist within the same company. Unions bargain for better wages and working conditions. So basically, they represent the workforce voice to the employer. There is very employer-employee relationship is based majorly on the task force. They are majorly contractual based. Employees do not expect managers to solve their personal issues. Such involvement is often seen in invasion of privacy. So they don't involve into the personal issues, but whenever it is, they are only stick to whatever with the professionalism. They follow the professionalism, and they fix to the task, which is the combined task given to them as far as the workplace is concerned. The employees are career driven, and they switch to jobs for better opportunities. As and when required, they find the good opportunities. Trainings are less emphasized than if we compare with the United States. So the result is when there are less training, so productivity level is also lesser than the American workers. According to Hofstede in 1980, he has seen that UK has a low power distance. People see themselves as equal to superiors, both at work and socially. Authority is respected but not blindly followed. So questioning is done directly or indirectly, often sometimes very sarcastically or maybe sometimes in humor. So direct orders are disliked. The effective use of authority is respected at the UK culture. When we say UK culture, the status is often judged by their family background, their level of education, and their accent. They are very particular about this. The workplace reflects class-based divisions when we say about the organizational hierarchy and discriminations. The manual workers and the low-level workers form one group. Managers and senior staff have other from the privileged group. They have another group altogether. So it is all about the grouping of white collar employees and blue collar employees. So it is also seen that the white collar employees have better pay, they have higher power and better working conditions, whereas the blue collar employees face discrimination. They have a lower status, they have poor conditions. uh, Job treatment and workplace tensions create the holistic environment between white collar, who are known as privileged group, and blue collar workers are known as marginalized group. The result of this division and resentment is based on perceived inequality at the workplace within the organizational culture. Let's see what is human resource management in Arab and Middle East, which includes the areas Cyprus, Turkey, Israel, Egypt, Iran, and Oman. They share the identity across a religion that includes the common language, uh, even the common religion, which is Islam, and history. They combinedly have very strong sense of belongingness and they share the destiny. They are highly collectivist society in terms that the loyalty extend beyond immediate family to extended families and friends. They have group oriented values which promote respect for elders, face to face communication, consultation and loyalty, harmony and tradition. So the organization culture is mainly on paternalistic and authoritarian leadership. The subordinates expect to be consulted but not treated as equals in decision making. Obedience to supervisors is culturally expected. So when because they belong from the group values and which where they promote and they insist on respect of culture. So it is seen at the workplace also. The obedience to supervisors or the superiors are by default they are culturally expected from the lower level of employees, or the subordinates. The centralized and hierarchical organizations where the individuals occupy senior roles, promotions and pay based on loyalty rather than on performance. There are certain challenges and shifts. The low tolerance for innovation for change, preference for stability and tradition is seen. The new generation is introducing Western management style even at Middle East countries, which is leading to gradual transformation in leadership and organizational practices. Audio tradition and communication is seen where the majlis council meetings influence organizational communication. It is basically a face-to-face communication where the managers and the workers or managers and subordinates meet through private contact, discussions, or maybe through networking because they are very closely bounded. People is seen, and written letters or memos are generally avoided. They believe in oral communication where they can discuss and solve the issues or maybe anything happening they wanted to discuss orally. So Middle Eastern employees have lack of modern mindset. They dislike formal systems and structures. They show sloppiness and poor work delegation. Have non-professional attitude towards business. They prefer working individually rather than in teams. So it is when we talk about the individualistic approach, that is when they wanted to work to but collectivist approach is seen where they are bounded with the same common religion, common language. Nepotism and strong social cultural pressures affect recruitment over there. It is highly nepotist culture over there. So, and overall, the success and failures are, they blame others and circumstances for failure when we talk about the Middle Eastern employees. So, nepotism is one thing which affects directly to recruitment. When they want someone within an organization, they always look on further who have direct relations with them, or maybe within the same network or within the same family. So let's see what human resource management in India is. India is known to be a multicultural society with many dialects, religions, customs varying by region. So we have shared culture traits, include fatalism, emotional expressiveness, hospitality, and the friendliness. So here the collectivism is common with community ties, including close families, extended relatives, caste, religion, and even friends. So, group orientation is less visible in the workplace. So, management style and workplace is usually we can see authoritarian or paternalistic. There is a clear divide between white collar and blue collar workers. Significant differences exist in power, pay, working conditions, and rewards between high positions and low positions. While authority is respected, employees do challenge and question management as well. So it's a very blended kind of management practices that again depends on organization to organization also. So India's democratic culture supports freedom of expression and voicing opinions at the work. So there are certain policies and legal framework which allows them to open about the whatever is happening or maybe voicing about at the work culture if something is not happening in a legal framework. So trade union and worker rights are basically plant or state based. They are not craft based. They focus on protecting the interest of workers, which are locally based. Employees participate in decision making through working advisory groups. Laws and legislations under constitutions protect employees' rights and welfare. The Indian workers are creative. They are, it's seen they are dedicated, they are frugal, they are innovative, they are aggressive, as well as along with that, they are materialistic also. So they prefer to work under supervision and seek approval before doing any independent decisions. So this is a basic employee characteristics which is seen at the workplace where the human resource management is taking care of while implementing any practices or designing strategically designing any policies. So let's see what is the HRM in China. China is one of the oldest civilization in world's largest population. In 1921, China was under socialist rule with strict control over people's lives and security. After World War II, Mao Zedong led a dictatorship with strong control over the country. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping introduced market reforms and decentralized decision making. So, despite economic reforms, political control remains very tight. So, China has many ethnic groups. They have, many languages and even religion, which are creating cultural diversity within the country. Despite diversity, people share common cultural characteristics. It is seen they are most of the Chinese people follow the same cultural practices. The social diversity is influenced by long imperial history, communist legacy, dominance, and ethnicity, and Confucian philosophy. The yin yang philosophy is recognized, opposites qualities coexisting in individuals. Chinese culture is generally collectivist. They favor group harmony, but individuals sometimes show individualistic tendencies among the the employees. If we really talk about the work behavior at the organization, they tend to have personal loyalty rather than organizational loyalty. We've seen that they are very loyal to their workplace. The personal network, which is known as the legacy, are essential for cooperation, mostly seen in smaller organizations rather than in larger ones. So supervisors often show lack of discipline and control over employees' behavior. Consistency is performance, and follow through is often missing. Managers leaving a company may convince subordinate to join them. So it is seen the manager takes and sometimes the entire team along with them. It is seen in other cultures also, but the Chinese, it is the work behavior is very. This is very prominent. So some employees stay due to strong personal ties with supervisors because they work with them, they work very closely with them, and they have personal loyalty with that particular person. There is no independent trained unions. The union parties are often from the political party officials. So managerial behavior and challenges is where they tend to be non-proactive and they avoid the bold decisions. They generally hesitate to share information or they have low risk taking capacity. Maintaining the political relationship is prioritized over organization goals. So the quality of impulse control, the obedience and the social responsibilities are encouraged. Chinese society and organizations are highly hierarchical, with strong respect of status. Managers make few decisions which are not accountable. Political instability adds to managerial uncertainties. Younger workers are becoming nowadays very more tolerant, assertive, and flexible with rules. There is a gradual shift towards more open and adaptive work behaviors within the Chinese working culture. So, since we have discussed about the different countries, when we go back, it is we discussed about Japan, we discussed about the US, Middle East, India, and China. But all the multinationals who are working, they're working very strategically on human resource practices. Whereas in human resource practices, where it introduces a view of people as resources, have strategic importance for creating competitive advantage for the organization. It is defined as a distinctive approach to employment and management that seek to achieve competitive advantage through strategically deploying highly committed and capable workforce used an integrated array of culture, structural, and personal technique. So basically, when we talk about the strategy and the strategic international human resource management, the multinational operations, it involves human resource management issues, it functions, policies, and practices. So the result of strategic deployment of these are the policies, the practices, or the which is the functional or the organization structure we are forming. This is seen at the multinational enterprises, and they impact the international concerns and goals of those multinational enterprises or multinational corporations. So let's see the theoretical framework. In the early life cycle, models focused on fit between human resource management and strategic business goals. Whereas a progressive management mentally shift from domestic to global activities. And next is product life cycle, where the organizational cycle concepts, life cycle concepts. So later development focused on overall organizational design, its coordination between strategy and structure of multinational enterprises. The effective organizations creates a fit between information processing capacities and their strategies, their tasks, their the inter departmental relationships, and overall the organization culture and climate. The multinational enterprises, the corporations have high informing processing needs, and uncertainty due to size and geographic spreads. So, according to Egelhoff in 1991, it was reported that the greater the information processing method, the more organization adopt parallel relations with as direct personal touch with employees, liaison roles, task forces, and matrix team structures. So, strategic international human resource management specifically balances between differentiation and integration. So, differentiation is all about when they are adjusting the HR policies to needs and culture. And integration is when they connect local units to overall multinational enterprise systems. So, it comes up with three models which implement these. Differentiation and integration. One is exploratory, that is ethocentric, where the transfer of human resource strategies and practices from the parent company to its subsidiaries. Adaptive is polycentric, where they customize the human resource management system to fit the local environment and condition, whether it is external or environment. The third one is geocentric, which is interrogative, which transfer the best practices across all subsidiaries, regardless of origin within the organization. So here it is more of the new innovative practices, or maybe where the productivity really take a boom, or any specific practice which is which can well integrated with all the units or all the subsidiaries. So basically, the firm's strategy to deciding HR processes in other cultures is based on resource dependence theory, resource biased view of the firm, knowledge based view of the firm, and organizational learning theory, relation and social capital theory. So let's see in detail about the resource dependence theory first. It is all about the perception is based on organizational decision making. The theory expects all the organizations to rely upon the progression of valuable resources like money, technology, or expertise within the organization into the organization to continue functioning. So the multinational affiliates may have more or less dependence on power, as these resources are controlled by various actors, internal of the multinational, that is the parent company or the regional operations, or external to government institutions. Higher the scarcity of these valued resources, it is focused on the resource dependence. So more the power of the entity that control the resource increases. Next is resource-based view of the firm. It is seen that the firm not show its exercises in the product market, but rather than noble heap in the tangible assets. Since the beginning of time, in the nation layer, they aggregated different physical and foreign intangible assets and implicit learning and dynamic routine. So, impersonation of these assets is conceivable, assuming firms goes through a similar irreversible investment or learning experience. So multinationals, corporations ought to profit from the worldwide labor force by gaining better abilities they gathered over the long run through acquisition and education, which can be found by getting to global labor pools and taking advantage of different forces cultural strengths. So they not only identify new assets which are in undiscovered business sectors, but also learn how to facilitate and deploy their different capabilities and take advantage of them. Also enhance the existing skills of reconfirming value adding exercises. So it is then is knowledge based view. Knowledge based view is all about knowledge transfer capacity. It leads to building the supervisors or the managers where they can transfer their knowledge, and do they have that capability to transfer that particular knowledge or the expertise which is carrying with them. Then is relational and social capital theory, where the relational capital concerns business organizations and inter-firm connections that exist inside inside the organizations only, and it involves a goodwill that is endangered by the fabric of social relations and that can be mobilized to facilitate actions. So these were few theories which were discussed in detail. Let's see now the architect of the organization and the strategic international human resource management. When we see this diagram, it is revolves around, it is very interrelated about the structure, the incentives, and control, the culture, and the processes, which revolves around the human resource, the people of an organization, where they are the main focus. They play an essential role. Either it is structuring, whether it is incentivize them or to control, or maybe to create the organization culture, or maybe to implement or function the entire processes. So the role of human resources of the people is very important when we talk about the strategizing the organization, or strategizing the human international human resource policies and practices. So the factors responsible while planning human resource management architecture is exogenous factors and endogenous factors. Exogenous is all about the external factors, about the policies or the business environment outside the organization, and the endogenous is all about the internal factors which are related with the multinational policies, their organization structure, their practices. Then it is directly aligned. The exogenous factors are directly interrelated with the goals of the multinational, which is also interrelated with the multinational strategic human resource role, and it is mainly directed towards the human strategic human resource policies and practices, which is locally aligned. The global learning is there, the inter subsidiary control is there, whereas the endogenous factor and exogenous factor both are at the create the strategic human resource role, whereas the endogenous factor includes the orientation, the adaptive environment, or it can be exploratory, or it can be interrogative. And these strategic choices is depends on the kind of multinational, the kind of culture they have, whether it is they are focusing on orientation or adaptive or exploratory or integrative, which is discussed a few slides before, where whether they are transferring the HRM strategies and practices, whether they are customizing it, or whether they are transferring the best of the practices to overall subsidiaries or overall irrespective of their locations. So these exogenous and endogenous factors directly linked with the strategic human resource management, and it is interrelated with the goals of multinational enterprises or the corporations, which are profitability, which are innovative practices, which are learning and development, integration, improvements, coordination, sharing, transfer of knowledge, or maybe any enhancement in the productivity, or which also relates with the work culture, which also relates with the entire organizational environment. So when we talk about the role, about the architecture, then it comes to HR planning in global strategies. So basically, they are these. This happens with the two steps only. The first step is towards the start of breaking down the more extensive business plans at the workable level, where it can be doable, and it helps to simplify the management and tracking of progress. Whereas the next step is to job design, because the the objectives and the plans or the jobs are designed as per the human resource available at the multinational organizations or the multinational enterprises, which on in this particular task involves the how to incorporate tasks, obligations, and jobs for individuals to perform. So this phase have certain critical factors, which involves a cultural adaptation concentration because it affects the culture is collaboration of working individually. Um, is a collaboration, or maybe are they working individually, or what culture they belong to, and whether people like to work in controlled manner or they like to work in independently. So that it depends. Regulatory influence is very important because these factors represents the working hours, the rest hours, the breaks. It is as per the legal framework. Labor market skills are based on population skill level, which helps in understanding whether we need to work in a worker, or we outsource, or we give it to the third party. Again, it depends on the skill level availability as well. Then is the major factor, or the most important factor, is available of technology and infrastructure. This availability, such as electricity, helps in bringing automation and train employees to handle these. So they are the few critical factors which is listed here. Then let's understand the perspective of this strategy. First is outcome. Tell whether the strategy is focused on maximizing profit or not, whether or how much, or which profit maximization is also a part. Then process. Here it consider whether the process comes about the result of planning or other factors, or based on these two factors, identify other strategic, you know, uh, other perspectives are four perspectives on strategies are defined. So it was defined by Richard in 1993. That was classical. Again, a deliberate profit maximizing approach. Evolutionary, it is an emergent profit maximizing goal where the goal is still profit maximization. The process is not deliberate. Whereas in a classical, the assumption is that senior manager would systematically analyze the environment. The results in straightforward course of action, which is the best course of action. Let's follow that. Whereas evolutionary, the processes is not deliberate. It market forces play a very important role. Whereas the processual, where the basically focus on processes. The organization are composed of individuals and groups of their interest. So the strategy emerges through discussions, through the processes, through the negotiations, or maybe sometimes to the compromises where they can find out the best of the processes. And the other one is systematic, deliberate, pluralistic approach where the view considers the social system and which strategy formulation takes place, and the structural context plays a very important role in that. So organization forms are basically local differentiation, global integration, and worldwide innovation, which is defined by Paget and Ghoshal, where the local is all about having different. These firms operate in countries having different national cultures or local that aligns with the values and attitude of that particular company. Whereas a global integration is we cater to specific markets and push towards a global integration. Whereas a worldwide innovation is rapidly, each markets are changing rapidly. The firms are adapting new technologies and new processes at the shortest time possible by linking operations and sharing knowledge and expertise. So these are the basic three forms when we talk about the international strategic human resource management formation. So there are certain phase years which happened from 1920 onwards, where the multinational firms were known to be as a decentralized federation phase. It was a multi-domestic era. It was similar to polycentric approach in human resource management, where the local leadership has significant autonomy over personal policies and practices. Now, then it comes to 1950 to 1980, which was known as global firm era. Global firm era was mainly on where the firms becomes a centralized hub. So here the efficiency achieved through global integration. It resembles an ethocentric approach where home country, the multinational home country values more, and it dominate the subsidiaries. They have a control on the decision making processes, and when it comes to the scaling, or when it comes to take the regulations, so they are they take the major chair. So subsidiaries are viewed as cultural extensions of the parent company. So parent company, for example, is from US. So all the cultural extensions are given to the subsidiary, the processes, the kind of work. For example, there it is the culture is not wearing formal during the office hours. They can come in informals also. So they are only, the culture is like that. So wherever they have the subsidiary, they follow the same culture or maybe the same policies. In terms of celebrations, it's in terms of the holidays, in terms of the working hours and all that thing. Then it then comes to 1950s to 80s, where the pressure at MNCs was there. So the international firms had a very coordinated federation where they create an integrated network of sites, each with distinct role. So information exchange allows diffusion of knowledge and expertise. The operations integrates drives scale efficiencies. It is very similar to geocentric approach, which is focused on hiring the best talent regardless of nationality. Managers on international assignment act as connectors, enabling resource exchange. Then post 1980s, that was a challenges for firms, for the multinational firms. It is transnational firm where it is an integrated network which focus on transferring and adapting the parent company's knowledge and expertise to foreign markets, considered as hybrid of ethocentric and polycentric approach. So local managers follow headquarter policies and ensure knowledge and expert sharing. Headquarters managers are seen not as enforcers but as facilitators of knowledge transfer. So it was more focused on the transferring of knowledge. It is more focused on the development of part. So when we say knowledge transfer, it is across border for crucial to managers to develop expertise in specific functional areas. Now the knowledge is further bifurcated into explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Explicit knowledge is easy to communicate and share. It is a knowledge that can be codified and easily communicated and shared in form of complex data or manuals. Whereas a tactic is also known as implicit knowledge. Explicit knowledge and implicit is a kind of knowledge that is not easily visible and expressible. It is very difficult in sharing and very difficult in communicating sometimes. So explicit knowledge is all about what you know, what you have learned, whereas that implicit knowledge comes with a personal experience. More you work with those people, more you know about how the work culture or how they work, what are the processes, so how they behave at certain situations, how the things comes together when in terms of managing or scaling up the business or scaling up the processes and all. So it can be learned through books or manuals, explicit knowledge, whereas that implicit knowledge is learned from the individual experiences. Organizations can leverage it through technology. It's the explicit knowledge that can be used to collect, the store, and communicate. So the manuals, the complex data, or maybe the codes, or anything which is related, which is structured, but the implicit knowledge is more towards the knowledge which remains within a person. It comes with a person with their experience, with which remains elusive, which is not very first timer visibility, but it is seen when it is worked within that particular work environment or work culture. So, explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge transfer is equally important. Initially, when the processes are at the starting stage, explicit knowledge is required, but during the process, during the execution, the implicit knowledge transfer is very important. How to really deal with people is when it comes to a training part, or when it comes to the skilling part, or giving some theory, it is an explicit knowledge. But on the on the real time experiences is how to tackle and difficult people or negotiating. It is on the real time situations, it is a implicit knowledge which is given by the managers to their subordinates at the OGTs sometimes. So global leadership is all about training and develop. They are more focused on that. To develop a global firms means managing people who think, lead, and act with a global mindset. So, with a global mindset means where they gain the competitive advantage, where they accept the cultural diversity and different management styles from different backgrounds. So, they create a cultural distance which can complicate sometimes the relationship and decision making. The frame of reference is set. The frames of where they the what is the appropriate behavior in a society. Managers often struggle sometimes to understand verbal and non-verbal signals in the new cultural environment. So the the we have seen that most of the organizations, because of the cultural diversity trainings are given to the people who are coming from different backgrounds, different culturally diverse uh, locations. So to succeed, managers must learn to overcome these challenges and understanding and impact of others' behaviors and beliefs. So when we talk about the training and development, so it is all about setting the global mindset among the managers or among the employees who are working together. So there are certain strategic control needs. Strategic control means ensuring all the global units follow the company's overall policy consistently and systematically. The major challenge here happens when there is misalignment between MNC's global strategies and local unit approaches. Traditional control methods focus on output metrics like finance, quality, and individual performance. Whereas the alternative control approach is informal. It is based on the culture, it based on the behavior of an employees. It also depends on the geographical locations. So assigning the foreign nationals, which increases a multinational organization, control the subsidiary managers and parent company values. So competitive strategies of multinationals have certain challenges. First is balancing globalization, which relates to the global integration with localization about the local, the local responsive or the local subsidiaries. Second major challenge is to need to centralize system that is also decentralized enough for local needs. And the third challenge is multinationals must be cost effective and meet the diverse local customer preferences. So all these, adapt multinationals adopt these strategies. They make the strategies and the structures to build all these capabilities globally. So global strategy, which is used by multinationals, is on the basis of the cost leadership, where the firms develop global strategies for competitive advantage worldwide. Then is multi-domestic, where the national and regional laws, culture, customer, consumer preferences are differ widely. So certain standard methods are used without adaptation can harm local market interest. Third strategy can be transnational with the emphasis on global learning and knowledge flow between the headquarter and subsidiary. So they are very focused on the development processes where they wanted to strategize the thing, or maybe to make them aligned with the organizational overall long-term goals. So regional strategy is where the rise of regional trade blocks and makes multinational corporations reconsider their strategies as per the region, as per the specific regions across the globe, and or maybe it acts as middle ground between multi-domestic and global strategies. So when it is all about structuring, optimal global performance is based on global product division structure, global area division structure, transnational division structure, and regional headquarter structure. So product division structure is centralized control of product group function from the parent company, or the product managers at headquarter decide the product design. Area division is when they choose, when local adaptation of products and services is critical. Regional or country manager have substantial independence to adopt strategies. Transnational division structure is matrix or international division to balance the integration and local responsiveness, where the local and overseas managers share the the global vision. They balance and synergize the relationship between the managers. The continuous and systematic exchange of ideas are there. Knowledge transfer is more prominent here. Regional headquarter is established majorly geographical area. Subsidiaries report to their regional headquarters. It facilitates efficient use of global human resources and helps to achieve the transnational goals by aligning and syncing product division and regional strategies. So overall, we have seen the and learned the cultural environment, which plays a very important role in managers of multinational socio-cultural environment implement for organizational practices. Managers need to adjust and change their human resource practices and approaches. Transformation and change are pertinent when homegrown single country organizational adapt foreign best practices to improve performance. International human resource management can have forms of strategic influence that can impact the organizational ability to competitive in the global marketplace, and multinationals, organizations, or the corporations strategize and policies for the global integration impact their international human resource management practices. Thank you. That's all for today. Namaste.